Hey everybody, and welcome back to the final part of my series on making a magic card template in Photoshop. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you my methods in extending the art over the borders so that you don't have to stretch the art that you're using very wide to get it to fit on a full art card like this. So first I find and paste in the art that I'm going to use, and then I zoom it up to size and position it in a spot where I like it. Now I'm not worrying about the empty gaps on the top and bottom here because I'm going to use a method to be able to fill those so I don't have to zoom the art up giant to fill all the empty space. Now depending on what the resolution of the image is that you've found, there might be some pixelation, some JPEG artifacts, so a quick and easy fix for that is to I use the reduce noise tool and tune it a little bit to smooth out any little artifacts or imperfections, and then I'll go back in with the smart sharpen tool to make it so it doesn't look too blurry or anything. So this kind of just artificially sharpens things up and smooths out any weird pixelation. So you don't have to do that, and actually if you're using a high resolution image, it's in your best interest not to use those functions because you'll end up getting rid of a little bit of detail, but if there is some pixelation, it's worth it. It's worth noting an alternate way to do that is by using other software that uses AI, like the Topaz Gigapixel, Topaz Denoise, stuff like that. Or there's free alternatives online to use AI to upscale an image, and that works really nice too. So to do a rough initial fill of the space on the bottom, I'll select that area, then go up to Edit, Fill, and Content Aware Fill. And so now you'll see it used AI there to just copy and paste parts of the image to fill the bottom. Now obviously this doesn't look super great right now, but it's a very minimal effort way to get something down that you can start modifying. So the first thing I'm going to do to make this a bit nicer is desaturate the bottom and then darken it a bit. So already this is looking a bit better. Now I'm going to take the color of the rocks, make a new color adjustment layer to just make the color more brownish instead of grayish. And then I make a selection across the bottom, feather the selection, and then blur it a bit so that it blurs towards the edge, and already this looks way better than what the AI was able to do alone. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the top blank space, just select the area and then go to Edit, Fill, and then Content Aware Fill, and it's going to fill it with what the AI thinks should be there, just like we did last time. So on this card, the top edge is actually going to be more work than the bottom edge. Usually the top is a bit easier because it's just clouds or a sky or something, and the AI does fairly well on its own. But here with the birds and the top of the Vengevine's head and these leaves that I have to extend, there's quite a lot of manual work that I had to do here to get the transition from the official art to my extended art to look natural on the transition. And most of the touch-ups that I'm doing here is using the clone stamp tool and smudge tool, I believe. I didn't like how the AI copied the spike on Vengevine's back and just duplicated it up there, so I wanted to make new spikes from scratch so it didn't look so obviously copied. So the first thing I do here is use the pen tool to just make rough shapes of generally what I want these spikes to look like, and I'm just doing them in black just to get the shape down. Once I have the shapes of the spikes pretty much how I want them, I go ahead and make new layers and then use clipping mask to clip them to the black shape layers, and then I use the clone stamp tool to clone colors and textures from elsewhere on the card onto those clipping mask layers, which get clipped to the shapes of the spikes. And then you see me drawing these little shading parts just to give it some 3D depth. And then I use the eraser tool to just change the shape a little bit, make it a little more rough and fit with the rest of the card instead of being so smooth. To make the spike in the middle, I ended up just duplicating the top spike, changing it around a little bit with the puppet warp tool, and then changing the color a bit. And then I finish up the last spike there on the bottom. Then I make a copy of all the spike layers and drag them above the frame so that it kind of overlays and looks like the art is like popping out of the card. And then I add a bit of a drop shadow, and then I'll create a clipping mask to clip the layer with the spikes with the drop shadow to the frame so that the shadow only falls on the frame, because we don't want the drop shadow to be showing on top of the art, because then it's going to ruin the whole 3D trick. So that concludes the series of making the template and putting the art into it, showing you how to modulate it, everything like that. There will be one more video just running down again how to input all the information and make a card in this frame. And then I'll be providing a download link for the Photoshop document so that you can play around with the template yourself and see how I did things firsthand. In the coming days, I'll be posting another couple proxy videos, and then I'll be revealing my own custom game that I'm making from scratch, and posting an update video and rebranding the channel, and I'll be talking through what the future of the channel looks like and what's going to be posted on here. If you're interested in card design, tabletop game design, that kind of stuff, stick around and subscribe. There's going to be some cool stuff I'm revealing soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.